today we're going to be doing a full case study of how I made $12,000 wholesaling a piece of real estate in Jay, Oklahoma. Now, here's the thing. When I got this lead, I had never heard of Jay, Oklahoma. But come to find out, it's about an hour and a half outside of Tulsa, where we had done many deals. Now, when I say we're going to do a case study, we're going to show you everything from front to back that we can possibly show you. We're going to show the live seller call. We're going to show you the contracts. We're also going to show you the pictures of the property and show you how exactly we made $12,000. Now, here's the deal. This is from one of the earlier Speed to Lead live shows that I did. What they used to do is Speed to Lead would give me leads that had never been purchased from anyone on the marketplace. This is back before fixed price mode and coupon club and all of the new features that they have. They just had the marketplace. So if no one purchased it, these leads were just left untouched and no one ever called the seller. So they would give me these leads during these lives to show that these were actually leads that could be closed. However, a lot of times the reason why these leads were not purchased is because they were in rural locations where people were fearful of not having an end buyer. Now, we're going to show you how we were able to find an end buyer on this and what we had to do to get the deal closed. But first, before we get to that, let's start with me closing this deal in Jay, Oklahoma. Hey, is Kim there?
This is she.
Hey, Kim, this is RJ Bates calling you about your property in Jay, Oklahoma. You had entered it on our website saying you wanted to sell that one?
Yes.
Awesome. How much you looking to get for that property?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. But you're looking to sell it, right?
Yes.
Okay, but you don't have a price?
Not a set one, no.
I gotcha. Okay. Well, do you want to think about that and get back to me whenever you do have a price?
$100,000.
$100,000. Okay, now we got a starting price. All right, very good. So, I mean, it sounds like a great property. It sounds like what I'm interested in. You know, for me, what I'm looking at, I'm trying to look at some of the values in the area and decide if I could come up to that $100,000 number. When they offered you the $100,000, was that covering the closing cost and there was no commissions and everything like that?
Right.
Gotcha. So I would be making it.
So essentially what we would do is basically sign it over to you guys and let you guys take care of what needs to be done.
Correct. But we would be closing at a title company. So yeah, I mean, we would close and the title company would collect the money and then, you know, pay off the prorated taxes and things along those lines. Is that there's no mortgage on it, correct?
Correct.
So
yeah, we don't even pay taxes. I'm a head of household, or actually, I think Kim might be head of household. You're head of household. Kim, I'm head of household, and we don't pay taxes on the house because I'm 100% disabled veteran.
Gotcha. So there you go. I mean, you don't even have property taxes on the property, so you're gonna get 100% of the net proceeds.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. So, and by the way, thank you for your service.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm thinking I could probably get pretty close to the 100,000. I don't think I could get all the way there. I think I need to be closer to the 90. Do we have room to negotiate where we come to an agreement?
Yep, because we was going to replace the heater and stuff, and if y'all's going to replace all that, then yeah, I'll come down.
Okay.
We'll come down to 90,000.
All right. Would you like for me to go ahead and send over an agreement to you now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me.
Y'all agree to the 90,000?
Yes, sir. Let me just verify real quick. No, it's completed. You don't actually have to have the password. I don't know why that's the case, but every time you sign a contract, it just takes you there. You should have an email now that says completed, and then that'll be your copy of the contract. Okay, so the next steps here would be Miss Cassie will be contacting you guys just to schedule us to come out and take a look at the property. She'll probably contact you sometime tomorrow, and then we'll get everything squared away, get title open, and we'll go from there, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, guys, y'all have a beautiful evening. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, bye-bye. All right, that's always been one of my favorite closes that I've ever had because of the beginning, right? How much do you want for the property? You know, she didn't want to give me that asking price. And then I hit her with, do you want to call me back when you know how much you want? And I'll never forget the husband screaming in the background, $100,000. It was just such a cool moment. And it was one of the foundational moments that really led to the closer's formula that we all use now. That moment right there of forcing that asking price early on, and it allowed the rest of the conversation to go extremely smooth. Not a whole lot there, a lot of listening and really deciphering what was their motivation for wanting to sell, which was they wanted to get to Tulsa because of his health. So that being said, we got our signed contract. As you guys can see right there, there's the signed contract for $90,000. Now, after you get a signed contract, what's the next thing you have to do? Open title and do recon on the property. Get pictures, right? So we went out. We got pictures taken of the property. And as you can see in these pictures right here, they actually told us the truth about the condition. The property was in really good condition, livable. You know, and sometimes when sellers tell us that the property is in good condition, we find out that their definition of good condition is not our definition. However, in this case, we were extremely pleased. We thought we had a good deal on our hands. So now we move to dispositions as we're waiting on the title commitment to come back to us. This was in the early days of us using Investor Lift. So you can see here is our marketing page, the email that we sent out to all of our buyers. And here's the situation. There weren't a ton of buyers in Jay, Oklahoma or in the county, but being within an hour and a half, we felt like buyers from Tulsa would go that far out for a relatively decent deal. So we sent out our marketing blast. And because we had done so many deals in Tulsa, we also started calling our known buyers, the buyers that we had relationships with out of Tulsa. Here was the feedback that we got very early on. It's a pretty decent deal. I like the numbers. The numbers is not the problem. The problem is days on market. So when you're comping and underwriting a deal, this is one of the factors that you need to pay attention to because it's one of the factors that your end buyer is going to look at as well. The end buyers were looking at this and saying, listen, there's not a lot moving in the area. And if you remember going back to the acquisitions call, I was struggling with the comping of this. Why? Because there just weren't comps. I had to keep going further and further back. This is right near a lake. So there was, hey, does that comp have waterfront access? Do we not have waterfront access? There was a lot of different situations that you just had to pay attention to. So our end buyers were being relatively conservative on this. And they wanted the property less than what we even had the property under contract for. So this obviously causes an issue. However, when you're raw and transparent and honest with your sellers, it's easy to have this conversation. So our dispositions guy at this point would reach out to the seller and let them know. As of right now, all of the offers that we're receiving from our end buyers are coming in below what we had this under contract for. Now, these sellers were pretty cool. They basically just said, listen, we're not in a rush. Why don't you keep, getting it in front of more end buyers and let's see if we can get a better offer. However, the highest offer that we ended up getting on this property was for $84,000, but that was not the initial offer from the end buyer. The initial offer was for $79,000. So our dispositions guy called up the sellers and asked for a price drop, and he got the price drop down to $72,000. So we sent them a price amendment. They signed it, and then he went back to our end buyer and actually got the buyer up from $79,000, which was a confirmed offer and they were good to move forward. We got them up to $84,000, and that's where the deal closed. As you can see here, that's the $12,000 wire that was deposited into our account a couple months after I locked up this deal. And that's how I made $12,000 wholesaling a deal in Jay, Oklahoma. That being said, there's a lot of moving pieces that come along with this. This is not an easy $12,000 that we made, although on the surface, it kind of feels like it, right? One lead, one dial, close, get pictures, blast it out on investor lift, get offers, do a price amendment, close deal. Yeah, we could simplify it down to that. However, on the disposition side, there was a lot of work that went in on this. And I want you guys to understand this. When you start out virtually wholesaling, this is how the nature of your business is going to be. Acquisitions can be easy. When you run nationwide marketing and you get leads from PPL providers anywhere in the country, acquisitions will be easy. But when it comes to dispositions and really developing those relationships with your end buyers and understanding why and where they will buy these deals, that's going to take time and work. And sometimes it takes weeks upon weeks to dispo deals. Here's the facts. I made a decision to choose my heart. My heart was dispositions. I want that to be hard because at least then I know I control a contract that I can make money with. I could have made my hard acquisitions and narrowed it down to where, hey, we're only going to do wholesaling in a specific city or a specific zip code where we know we have a ton of buyers and we know every single time we get a deal, we're going to make a great spread. That just isn't my personality. So as I beat this into the ground and I ask you guys, decide what your hedgehog concept is and really choose your heart. Do you want it to be on the acquisition side or do you want it to be on the disposition side? Choose your heart. Really, it should come down to your personality. How do you really deal with stress? Do you deal better with stress because, hey, I'm diving deep to get a $50,000 deal in Fort Worth, Texas, or Dallas, Texas, or Phoenix, Arizona? Or do you deal better with, hey, I've got 10 contracts all over the country and I've got to go find end buyers and I've got to have real, raw, honest conversations with sellers where maybe we have to renegotiate. That's what I chose because of my personality. I hope this case study helps you guys in your virtual wholesaling business. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more videos like this. Make sure you give us a like.